This one goes better with the walls.
This is so much easier than the home improvement store.
So which would you recommend?
Do you like brown? Hey.
Yeah, some things are just better at home. With Empire's Home Floor Advantage, you can compare samples in your own space. Plus, I'll be here to help you with every step of the process.
Do you remember trying to figure out pricing and installation?
There's the measurement fee, delivery fee, restocking fee, convenience fee.
And installation?
Oh, no. That's not my department.
We have clear, all-inclusive pricing. No surprises. And installation is on your schedule. It could even be installed tomorrow.
Call or visit EmpireToday.com and get the Home Floor Advantage.
It really is better at home.
800-588-2300. Empire Today.
Here's what a whole...
Yes, everybody. That was an Empire commercial. And it has a lot to do with what we're going to talk about today. Big shout out to everybody listening. Welcome to QSJ Radio. Today, the show is we're going to dive into the mind and the branding genius, a Hollywood storyteller, a true, I don't know if people use this anymore, but Renaissance man. He worked with music legends, turned tech into a trend, and even helped transform the flooring company that we just took. That we just heard into a national sensation, if you guys heard that jingle. From rubbing shoulders with rock stars and soap stars to becoming a voice for those living with a hidden disability. We're going to talk about that here in a second. He lived thousands of lifetimes in one. Please welcome the powerhouse, publicist, actor, author, branding guru, what else? Rikki Lee Travolta. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, man, Dave, I got to tell you, thank you so much for having me on this show. I love your show. I love your freaking humor, man. But, we came in with the Empire commercial, and we could talk Empire. We used to hand these out back in the day, the Empire Man. This was Lynn Haldren, the original Empire Man, before they introduced me at Wrigley Field, August 18th, 2007, with Lou Piniella and the Chicago Cubs, 44,000 people cheering on as I was introduced as the new Empire Man, and then took them to the number one position in flooring in the country, as you mentioned, and I did it in less than a year. And statistically, they've looked at it, and other people could have done it, but statistically, it could have been done by anybody else in like 10 to 20 years. And you mentioned hidden disability. I am high-functioning autistic. Steve Jobs of Apple fame, he called me a marketing genius, similar to how Mozart was a music genius. Now, I love music, so I kind of wish I was the music genius. But, we take the gift we got, right?
Yeah.
And so I can make $100 million marketing campaigns while making breakfast. It's simple. But technology, the other end of that, executive function disorder. I can barely use a smartphone. Barely. I really actually have to have an assistant, which is really funny because I was the executive spokesperson for Otherworld Computing, which is, I took it from a rented warehouse in a cornfield. The owner was Larry O'Connor. He was really, really preoccupied about having the nickname Lying Larry. And so he really wanted to bring me in.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he's like, man, all these secret meetings to bring me in. He's desperate to bring me in.
Yeah.
And like secondary to him was the fame of the company. He's kind of egotistical, but I come on, part ownership is part of the deal, a lot of things, because he had to know about my disability and I didn't want it publicized. So a lot of handshake deals behind the scenes. And it is now a $583 million technology company. That's the kind of thing I do. The reason that Steve Jobs called me a marketing genius. And Apple, it's almost like a religion. And back in the day, they had a thing called Macworld. It was the biggest convention of the year. People flew in from all over the world to see what Steve Jobs was going to introduce. And well, in the history of this thing, Apple won every Best of Show. It was just given.
Yeah.
Just 1 year. And that was me, the Axiatron mod book. You've never heard of it under that name. It's now known as the iPad before the iPad. And I did not invent it. I don't invent tech. I do magical marketing. I'm the guy who made that once-in-a-lifetime thing happen, introducing Andres Haas' Axiatron mod book invention. And so Steve Jobs that year, you know what he was talking about? He was talking about the iPhone.
Yeah.
And I upstaged him. And he was honorable and called me to compliment me and Andre. And that's class. But Empire Today, the way I made them, the number one company is I didn't invent product placement, but I saw the potential. It was the early days, and I just went gangbusters with it. So, like this is autographed by Dan Bottaducci and Adam Carolla. I just got every celebrity involved. Montel Williams show. I made us the official carpeting company of everything, and nobody was doing that. And so I made us the official carpeting company of shows like the Montel Williams show. So instead of paying for advertisement, we were on the show with a bumper every day, daily show.
Yeah.
Then I was appearing on the show. I was on every HGTV show under the sun, Playboy Channel, Danny Bottaducci, and just tying in any connections I could. The deal didn't finalize because there was a little contractual problems that we're still working out with Empire. But we were going to be the official flooring company of the Chicago Bulls. We weren't going to do the floor, the playing floor, because that's a special kind of floor. We were going to do the locker room.
Yeah.
But those are the deals that I did. And there's a lot of fun along the way because I got to sit courtside for the Chicago Bulls a lot. And man, I wish I could have been a rock star. I get to do rock star publicity. I wish I could have been an NBA basketball player because I love basketball.
You know what's crazy? I'm like sitting here and I'm like, how does one do this, right? Because like, it's not even like from the tech to home improvement to nutrition. Like you're like hopping in all these industries and like, hey man, I think we should go this way with it. And I know you're trying to almost give some of the secret sauce, creating the brand and stuff like that, some of it, but I'm just like, man, you got that honorable mention by Steve Jobs, right? Which, he's always gonna go down as the legendary guy, right? But your journey also includes working with like Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses.
Steven Adler. And a lot of people refer to him as of Guns N' Roses fame,
yeah.
which is valid. But we really have to point out that Steven Adler, he basically created the sound of Guns N' Roses that established on Appetite for Destruction because he has his own style, the Adler swing style. And nobody has ever been able to emulate. And I love every musician who has been in Guns N' Roses since. Fantastic band, wonderful band. But nobody can drum like Steven. And that's why we have our own band out now, Steven Adler, with an amazing singer, Ari Kamen, the future voice of rock and roll. Everybody says, if Axl is the king, Ari Kamen is the crown prince. And that's being polite because Ari is just amazing.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas, one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Alistair A.J. James, who in addition to being a fantastic rhythm guitarist, is one of the top engineers and producers in the country. Engineered Hollywood Vampire album. Produces Quiet Riot. And then my man Kristen Sturba on bass. And here's the thing. I started my career with Robert Cray, Janet Jackson. I've worked with a lot of cool artists in a lot of industries, and they've all been appreciated. Steven Adler and the guys and the tour manager, and to say tour manager does an injustice. He's the glue. Steve Sprite. They all got me together, one of the shows. They took me backstage and they said, Rikki, you are one of the band. And that's where my passion. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. You're paying all these compliments that I've done all these things.
Yeah.
As a kid, I was so severely autistic that my family referred to me with the R word, retarded.
Yeah.
And I didn't have friends. I was that kid who was made fun. So to have one of the greatest rock stars of all time include me in the band, to have a wonderful radios like yourself compliment, that's amazing to that kid who didn't have friends. And now they call me America's friend because I'm nice to everybody. I will give free visits advice to people on the street. And a reporter saw me do it. He said, man, you're America's friend. And there's one title that's more special, and that's dad. But besides that, the little kid who was beat up and abused, sexually molested by my daddy, to be called America's friend is very special.
That is
but now let's have fun.
That was pretty dope. That was pretty dope. I mean,
yeah.
You're mentioning a lot of heads from, basically considered some of the creative humans we've ever, came across, especially this day and age where we, not only the celebrities, the branding and things like that. And you're that guy. I'm trying to figure out how'd you get in there? Like where was the first celebrity? How'd you walk into the door? I've been doing this for so long and I don't even know, like, okay, I've walked into some doors. I've seen things happen, things that you don't talk about. Great. Especially like after a little bit doing business with some people, you just, you keep the other stuff out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like, how, bro? Like, what did was there schooling involved? Was there like it has to be something, like you had to see something, because that's where the genius part comes in. And
I can't do things the normal way. You mentioned schooling.
Yeah.
I have never in my life made it through a textbook. I can't. I spent hours in school trying. It's not pictures. I have to see the pictures. A literary story, I love it. Textbooks, I couldn't do it. Yet I had a 4.0 in grad school. How do you do that? I talk to people. I listen. Interaction. I have to see. Text is really hard for me. Email is really hard because I need to see the visual. I need to see the facial expressions because I'm autistic. So I process information differently. The problem in our society is a lot of people think different means dumb. And I really don't think I'm dumb. I really don't think I'm retarded as my family view. And I've accomplished a lot, as you said, and I'm doing things differently.
I put on a collar shirt for you, Rikki. Okay, I put on the collar shirt. I usually put on a tee. I'm like, I gotta, gotta give respect to the guy.
It's image and branding. Image and branding. If you are gonna go, say you have to meet with the police. I'm being stalked right now, stalked and harassed.
Yeah.
So this guy sends police to my door, and part of his trick is sending them when I'm in my pajamas or like just getting out of bed. That's a different image, especially for somebody who's autistic. If you meet with the police in a suit, it's a very different image. Every part of society is image and branding. And I had to learn that to blend in because of my disability. And then I was smart enough to apply that to business. And so with things like Empire Today, Other World Computing, Roth Staffing, I have to do things differently in life. So I figure out different ways to do it in marketing. So I do groundbreaking things. Now I'm going to tell you a little music thing. I didn't even know it at the time. Way back in the day, I was working for an indie label. It's Red Light Records, then Red Light Entertainment. Okay. We had a division called Bright Core International. The head of the label was Mark Nawara, who was just the most brilliant producer, produced a bunch of stuff for Diamond Rex, just amazing producer. And we signed this band called Crowbar. Nobody's heard of him. Nobody's heard of this music. Mark produces the album. It's incredible, but it's a different kind of music. Nobody knows what it is. He tosses it in my lap. Says, do something with this. So I talk to the band and I say, what is this? And we're tossing around ideas, and they mention this thing called sludge metal. I said, what is that? I said, oh, that's just some slang in the clubs. I said, well, I can market that. So 20 years later, if you Google me, I am the godfather of sludge metal because I'm the first guy to use it in marketing. Now, I didn't invent the music and I didn't invent the term, but I saw the potential. And now it's a $1 billion music industry. Fortunately, I didn't trademark it, so I don't get a penny of that. But, it's a cool title.
But it happened. Yeah, it happened. That was a really great. I want to talk about this thing because not only is like business work behind the scenes, there's camera stuff too. The Slight, garnered
right.
you the Best Actor award in the Midwest Film Festival. Okay,
Yeah,
you drew the role.
Yeah,
the role of Amazing Ron. Like, listen, I don't know how people get into this thing. Some people they walk in, they audition, they get a part, whatever. Some people get called. You hear all the crazy stuff. The things that you don't hear is getting to the spot, knowing the people, all the stressful parts. What drew you to the Amazing Ron, and how did you prepare for that? Because this guy was basically a polygod.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know what poly is, that's when that's a dream. A dream. Okay.
Dave, I'm going to jump back to autism because it all ties in. I was severely autistic. Couldn't even function. I got cast on accident as Tiny Tim in A Christmas Bill because all you had to be, it has like 2 lines, and one of them is God blesses everyone. And the other one is like, yes, mommy, or something. I don't know.
Wow.
But I get cast because I'm cute. And they didn't realize it could barely function. It gets on TV, and I end up famous. I mean, not like household name, but famous enough that I was a steady actor. I couldn't even function in society, but you don't have to be good to get work.
Yeah.
And so I learned how to act. And that allows me to be this by learning how to act and then learning to be in society. So I was a national touring theatrical actor for a lot of my life. You'll see like West Side Story, Bye Bye Birdie. This is kind of my ego wall. So I was offered Grease on Broadway. I really, really wanted to do Rent. They wanted me to replace Adam Pascal in Rent. And God, did I want to do it. But reality is reality. Adam has one of the most amazing voices ever. And I was supposed to do the Bye Bye Birdie Broadway revival in 2005. That's a song. That's music I can do all day. Rent is a really hard score. And we tried for about a year, and my voice was up to doing it like 3 nights a week. And you got to do it every night on Broadway. So it didn't work out. I was going to do the TV miniseries. And I really wanted Adam to do the vocals because he has such a better voice. That didn't end up happening. Adam ended up doing the movie, which is so cool. I ended up meeting him later on, and he's just the coolest guy. I love Adam. Adam Pascal, amazing talent. I don't know. Maybe I'll give him on the horn and help him out a little because people need to know more about Adam Pascal. He's a great rock singer in addition to Broadway. But this Ron character. Now I just do cameos. I do cameos because my main thing is,
I feel like cameos are like just to like your friends are like, yo, you good? You in town? Like kind of thing.
I love the camera. I love to act. I don't have the time for it. And so a cameo.
Hold on. How do you say you don't have time for? I don't understand this because wait until I ask this next question. But okay, Ricky's BSing us, guys. Okay, he don't got time for it. Listen, okay, you love the camera, love the cameos. You don't got time for it. What's up?
Look at all I do. I'm representing Steven Adler, one of the greatest rock stars of all time. I got up and coming artists. Rearview Romantics out of Philadelphia. They got a show coming up on Friday at Harrah's in Philadelphia. They are amazing. Laura Bell out of Northern Illinois. Man, she could give Taylor Swift a run for her money. Beautiful, kind of this country pop sound.
Yeah.
Man, she's amazing. Sammy Sirius and the Zeros. They wrote the theme song for Howard Stern back in the day. And they're doing a reunion show coming up with Whiskey A Go-Go. I think it's May 23rd, Friday, May 23rd. I got my hands in a lot of things.
Rikki is promoting at the same time, and this is like you're engulfed in it. Okay, tell me something about the Polish cooking show.
Oh damn!
Come on, because this is they won the best television pilot award. Okay, this is now we're talking about production. Like, let's get serious.
Polish cooking show. We mentioned I'm being stalked and harassed.
Yeah.
This is my business partner from the Polish cooking show.
Wait, you being stalked by that guy?
Yeah, I was the spokesperson for, he owns Lola Wireless, which is a tier 1 ISP. I was the executive vice president of communications. He asked me to do something illegal, and I refused.
Okay.
He physically attacked me, threw me off our joint-owned property, and has spent the last year calling my clients and stating absolute atrocities about me, saying that I am crazy. I'm not, Dave. Do I look crazy to you?
I mean, you want me to answer that, though? Like, you want me to answer?
And he says I'm a con man, and he sends people to my door, and it's, what the heck? We finally got a recording of it. He called one of my clients, and he left this bizarre message saying the things that I just said. And he did this at like 10 o'clock at night with this thick Polish accent, thinking nobody would know who it was. And I mean, it freaked Bonnie, the proprietor of Lakeshore Motel, Ice Lake, out. She's like, I just aired this commercial. And 10 minutes later, I get this crazy call. And that's what I'm dealing with. And because of that, for the last year, he's been doing that to my clients, to me. He's withheld my money. I had to switch phone numbers, switch emails, because he has all that. He's lied to our lawyers.
So are we looking at what could possibly be almost a deterioration or a savior of your career? Is that what we're looking at? Or is it affecting anything?
Oh, it's very much affecting things. He did the same thing to his ex-wife. He's not on his medication yet. But because he did all this, my girlfriend at the time was very confused because he's feeding her all this stuff. And I don't know it. And so she got really confused, and police had to show up. And they're showing her pictures of us on the wall, my things in the closet. And she's saying, I don't live there. And my things are, we're not in a relationship. And they're trying to explain it to her. And it's not making sense to her. So we're getting the social workers, the Schaumburg police social workers, Kristen Jordan and Sarah Hitt. We're going to be working with her. But she just wasn't understanding. She was confused because my partner, I don't want to put his name up.
Yeah.
But he was feeding her disinformation, really bad disinformation. And so obviously she's going to be confused. We decide that I'm going to go to an Airbnb and I hire a couple of other staff. And we're going to work there. We're working Stevens. Yeah.
Before we get into that one.
Oh, man.
Because right now I'm like emotionally fucked
I'm blowing your mind.
Like, I'm like, shout out to everybody listening and tuning in to QSJ Radio. We're talking to Rikki Lee Travolta. We've talked about so much of the success story and how much is going on. And specifically what we are talking about right now is something like, you can't make this stuff up. Okay. You cannot make this stuff up. We're about to get into this story. Cause he actually reached out to me and he said, please ask me about it because it is fresh. It is new and it has to do with everything that's going on and has been going on, which is a part of this thing where people, if you guys want the fame, you also got to understand there's a lot of things that come with it. And resentment, whatever, losing a chick over a business situation is like ridiculous. But anyways, We talked about lifestyle, all that stuff like that. So now we get into this crazy, like I paused. As soon as you said that, I just sent the link. I was like, let's get Lee on. Let's get Rikki on. Rikki, what the hell happened at this Airbnb?
That's a polite way of putting it. Dave and QSJ listeners, man, I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And I'm a fun guy. I'm going to put a smile on my face, hopefully put a smile on your face. But we got to get a little serious here for a minute. Because serious things happen. So we went to this Airbnb. We're using it as temporary office space, trying to get my partners a little help, establish some communication. I'm not saying anybody needs help. I'm saying there's some communication problem. And while that's going on, the Airbnb host, records date back to 2022 that he's been in violation of many laws in the village of Fox Lake relating to this property and others.
Now, this is a host that has the issue.
This is a host.
Okay.
And
so for those who don't, because I think the Airbnb thing is new to a lot of people. So I just want to break down what it is, okay? Just a really quick thing. So an Airbnb is like an online marketplace, short and long-term homestays experience. So you basically, somebody is utilizing a property that is now basically used as kind of like a hotel stay. So it's usually super fancy sometimes, right? And it's in the middle of everything. And it doesn't have that hotel feel. You basically got to clean up after yourself. But other than that, that's what an Airbnb is. Because I know a lot of people are like, people keep talking about Airbnbs, blah, blah, blah. Well, it basically is the fanciest hotel you could probably have in a budget. So anyways, go ahead.
It's an alternative. It's an alternative to a hotel. It's more like it's a homestay. You're like renting a home, an apartment, a condo, in this case, a cabin. In my case, we were supposed to have cleaning every week, and they never showed up once.
Oh, man.
But here's the thing. Move in. This guy's super charming, makes all sorts of promises, and brags about how that's what he does, is make promises. And he's the chief investment officer, a principal in a $15 billion real estate company that if you look on the Better Business Bureau, they're a slumlord, $15 billion. But he's so smiling, and there's not a lock on one of the doors. And
not one lock.
That's kind of a problem, brother. That's kind of a problem. He said, "Oh no, it's a safe neighborhood. We can't put in one. It's impossible to order a lock for this door."
That's it. Dude sound like he had an accent. He had an accent. Dude sound.
Oh no, that's just me.
I'm just playing.
But and we're going back and forth, and he just said, I'm so confident. I will personally cover anything that's stolen. My company, Westward 360, will cover anything that's stolen. Airbnb will cover anything that's stolen. And I'm explaining, man, I work in entertainment. Do you know what I have here on these hard drives, on these computers? Oh, no. He heard the word disabled because I'm upfront about it.
Yeah.
And I think he heard dumb because things were stolen. I went to my client, California Cookies, and Patrick McSherry, the proprietor, and I sat down with Officer Megan Blue, and we did the police report. That should have been it. Instead, when we were sent to talk to this individual, I'm not going to name his name at this time, he's under investigation. We went and talked to him and said, we need the security footage for the police. He found out how much he was on the hook for. He thought it was going to be like $10. It's multi-millions. We had albums that were ready to be released. We had films that were ready to be released. We had TV stuff that was ready to be released. And now it all has to be reshot, re-recorded. That's major millions. And he didn't submit it to insurance. He didn't do the logical thing. He went, to put it playfully, cuckoo crazy. And he started doing death threats. He started doing cyber hacking. And he held us there. He took over our social media, used our credit cards. And that's power.
How?
Getting away with it because we did 7 police reports to the Fox Lake police, and they didn't investigate any of them. Sergeant Lira confessed on camera, Brad on camera, that they didn't investigate a single one because, quote unquote, someone, we would assume this individual.
Yeah.
But Sergeant Lear didn't say who. He just said someone told them that we were crazy. And so they didn't investigate the 7 police reports, didn't investigate that we were being assaulted. And this is power. Somebody getting away with it. Getting away with it. What's the ultimate power crime, Dave? I'm going to put it really polite. Crimes of an intimate nature. Physical violations of the body.
Yeah.
That's what this man did. The chief investment officer of Westward 360. And the police didn't investigate it at all. Well, now Officer Megan Blue is now a detective. And she is now taking responsibility. But Fox Lake Police has been sued many times in the past for violations just like this of not investigating things, of covering things up.
I'm trying to figure out.
Recently.
Is this a safe neighborhood or not?
Not at all, man. Not at all. And the neighbor, Jason Boucher, the only thing that got fixed the whole time that was there, nothing worked. The sink didn't work. The shower didn't work. The only thing that got fixed was the toilet. And that's not by Westward 360 that was responsible for it. That was not by the chief investment officer. It was by Jason Boucher, the neighbor. And that was only after the host assured him he was going to pay him for the work. And then he didn't. So I did little free commercials for Jason because I'm a nice guy and I thought he should be paid. In fact, I paid him in cash too. But that wasn't my responsibility. But that's how bad this guy is. And that's what Jason and his girlfriend Jennifer said. They said, he is a nice guy, but he lies. Those records going back to 2022. Village Hall in Fox Lake. People are sworn in. Neighbors are sworn in. All these records show this. They're sworn in. They're lining up to testify under oath that this guy is dishonest and breaks the law. And you know what he did, this charming individual? He said, oh, it's because of a bad management company. Leaving out the fact it's his management company. Yeah. And so it ends up with us being raped. And my finances destroyed, my credit cards destroyed. We had to move our office to another state because of what my partner from the Post Cooking Show and Lola Wireless and what Westward 360 did and what Airbnb didn't take action on. The Schaumburg police and I called Airbnb. 3 people at Airbnb we contacted. Somebody in branding, somebody in celebrity relationships, and somebody in the legal department. And we asked, can we talk about this? Come to a resolution, figure this out. They won't even call us back. That's the truth about Airbnb. So I invite people to look at other alternatives, things like Vrbo, things that people don't get raped at. And that's my soapbox. Now we can get happy.
Well, like, how am I supposed to get happy? Give me like 5 seconds real quick. Because I'm like thinking about like, you know, you were in the middle of a project with Steve, right? And all this stuff just comes up missing.
Steve, I mean, so many artists, so many things were stolen. We were relaunching Life and Times, which was one of the major Chicago online publications for entertainment, one of the top ones. And we went on hiatus to relaunch it nationally. All that got torpedoed. We were there launching a podcast network, a television network on the internet via podcast. Always True was the flagship news part. Well, here's the thing, Dave. We couldn't stop the abuse by the Fox Lake police. We couldn't stop the abuse by Westward 360, but we documented it. Hundreds of hours of video footage of this going on. You shouldn't rape anybody. But if you're going to rape people, don't rape entertainment industry people with cameras.
Of course. Everything is content.
Little marketing advice. And here's the thing. If I can smile after all that, that's something. And here's a saying I came up with. Because I can't even see my kids right now because of all the lies that were told by this jerk off.
Oh, no.
And so here's the thing. There are always reasons to cry, Dave. There are always reasons to cry. I was living on the street eating out of garbage cans because of what this guy did, destroying my credit, destroying my name. Richest homeless person in the world, I call him. Always reasons to cry. But if you find that one reason to smile, life is a lot better. So I always find a reason to smile.
I guess my reason is candy corn. But anyways, big shout out to everybody listening in. Rikki Lee Travolta, we're talking about his basically metaphorically and literally held captive by a lunatic Airbnb host for months while working on a project and many projects.
Stephen Adler, Ari Kamen's solo project, Son of a Gun. We had recordings from Alistair. We had television project. We had the Always True podcast network, Life and Time. Millions of freaking dollars that were torpedoed by this guy that they're going to have to pay for. And then the civil damage and everything. If this crossed I produce films, produce television. If this script crossed my desk, I would say it's ludicrous. But here is the business aspect of it. It's ludicrous to try and produce it as one piece of entertainment. But you could take the Rikki Lee approach and look at it different. You pull out the different sections. The romance, the 30-year romance with my beloved girlfriend, who then has the confusion. Well, we pull that out, make that a 2-hour movie. The horror at Fox Lake.
Rikki Lee.
That you pull out and you make it a 13-episode streaming limited series. Instead of trying to sell one entity and get $1 million for a script, you pull it out as a 10 different project, one of them being a series, one of them, man, now you got multi-revenue stream. And that's why Steve Jobs calls me a marketing genius.
Rikki
because I see
Lee.
things.
Bro, I'm sitting here like, okay, all right. We got to talk behind the scenes because I can't. This is getting out of hand because I'm just sitting here and I'm like, so you're telling me people have been doing this wrong so long because. All right, let's move on.
Not wrong. I just do it different. I see ways to improve.
Yeah.
And I mean, streaming series, I didn't invent those, but man, are they amazing for literary translations. Because here's the problem with a lot of books to film. One page of a book translates to 1 minute of film time. If a book is 300 pages, you don't want to watch that long of a movie.
Yeah.
So any literary translation gets chopped and it's part of the story, so it's not complete. Limited series, boom, suddenly it has the time to do it right. So Jack Reacher, terrible films, awful film. I did not enjoy them, I'll say. But the limited series, my Lord, are they amazing? Because each season is one book. Interview with a Vampire, one of the greatest books of all time. I love that. And I'm not a big horror guy.
Series was trash.
I love that book. That's the movie I did not much care about.
Yeah.
The series, mind-blowing. I talking about cameos.
Yeah.
I want to get Anne Rice and her son on the phone. They're producers. I want to get them on the phone. I want to do a cameo. I love that show. I want to be a part of that show. even just come on there, people. Mr. Smiling Marketed Vampire. I don't know. I would just love to do that show, but it's amazing because it's the right media. Every story has its proper media. Rent, amazing stage show. They made the best movie they could of it, but it's not really the right vehicle for film. Some things translate and some don't. And reality is reality. You have to realize what works and what doesn't. And sometimes there's new things that come out, like streaming because of COVID, and boom, we have a new industry. I didn't invent it, but I recognize it and I see where it can go.
I was thinking about this because of all the things that he was going through, and I'm trying to figure out, because you did mention about, like, you find something, stick with that, because that's the part, that's the motivation, that's the smile, going through all that. At the end of the day, like, you're alive to tell the story, right? So that's basically what really matters. But I'm trying to figure out how do you balance the authenticity and marketing when shaping someone's public image? Because, if me and you were to have a simple conversation about what it is that I wanted to do, I would almost be intimidated because not for nothing, Rick, you've been doing this thing for a little bit. So you kind of got the stereotype of the guy in the background that is, kind of shaking things up in there, but I wouldn't know how to approach it. But anyways, like, how do you balance that? Because, it being nice to everybody, I get that, but like shaping somebody's image is like, you only got like a certain amount of time with them. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is what I really see. I don't know how you balance that.
Dave, I'm inherently honest, and it's part of the autism. I actually can't lie. It would physically hurt my brain to try to lie. And my ex-girlfriend, just beautiful girl, Jessica Lauren Fisher, just wonderful actress, wonderful human, still love her dearly. I'm never going to try and steal her from her beautiful husband, Andrew Pond, but man, just one of the true loves of my life. And she pointed out, she's like, I saw you try and lie once, and it was the most traumatic thing ever. You just cannot lie. I can't, because it doesn't make sense. So everything I do is honest. And that's part of the key to what I do. I will not lie. And so a lot of PR guys, a lot of branding guys, that's all they do. Lie, 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 lie. And that was part of the problem with Empire Today. That was part of the problem with Lion Larry over there at Otherworld Computing. They wanted me to be dishonest, and I won't do it. And you can't legally make somebody lie. And that's what they were trying to do. My core thing is I also do things differently in that I'm not always just behind the scenes. I'm the spokesperson as well, whether that be for a product or for an individual. Steven Adler is Rolling Stone magazine named him one of the 100 greatest drummers of all time. He's in the Grammy Hall of Fame. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's one of a kind. He's the greatest drummer. Steven Adler does not do the kind of interviews that I do. So that's where it pays to have somebody like me who likes to talk and chit chat. The Steven shines on the drums, and I shine there in the camera. Now, you take a guy like Stephen Pearcy from Rat. That guy is good at image. Or my all-time idol when it comes to rock stars who know how to do PR, Bret Michaels, the greatest at this. I learn from that man every day I read an interview or see something. He is brilliant, and he doesn't need me. Man, he would be wasting money on me because I would be talking and that's not him on the camera. He wants to be on the camera, and he's darn good at it. But for other acts, I am the ideal because I make them shine. And here's the other thing, Dave. If since I don't represent Bret, I'm going to use him as an example. If Bret Michaels gets out there and says, I'm the greatest thing ever, you're going to think he's a jerk because he sounds egotistic. And Bret doesn't do that, which is why I can cite that. It's a hypothetical. Now, if an unknown artist does that, they say, I'm the greatest thing ever, you're going to dismiss them. But if they're somebody else says it, other party, like a lawyer, a publicist, when somebody's talking on your behalf, and I say, Steven Adler is one of the 100 greatest drummers of all time, as documented in Rolling Stone magazine, it has a lot more meaning coming from me than it does from the actual artist. So it's the right client, the right spokesperson. I'm not going to be right for Taylor Swift. But if you're on the Sunset Strip, one of the nostalgia rockers from MTV, age, I'm the perfect guy, and it's just knowing who you are, knowing what you need as a client, as an artist. You say, Rikki Lee Travolta is who I need, and we talk and we make it done. And if it's not the right fit, I turn down business because I'm not going to represent somebody if me and my team.
I wanted to get into that because there is this, there's no way this is 100%. there's no way, right? I learned how to cook eggs 2 years ago. Okay. And it took me a long time to do it, from videos to all this stuff. And it's just because my first career, I was never home. So I never had the time to like cook eggs. Right. So I think a lot of people like forget that, I was not well, anyways, this, I was about to throw a subliminal in there. I don't need to do that. Right. So a branding failure or a near miss or, something that like, it's almost as if you were just about to tell me that you avoid them, but how do you even know that they are going to fail? What was your experience of them failing, if you had any, and what did you learn from it?
I'm gonna reframe that. I don't stay away from something because I think it's gonna fail.
Okay.
I stay away from something because I think it's not the right project. Maybe somebody else could make it great. I don't connect to it, or I don't have the time for it, or I don't see the vision, or maybe it's a morals clash. Maybe they want me to lie, and that's not my thing. Just like casting a film, you, let's take Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
amazing actor, but you don't cast Tom Cruise to play Mr. T. Doesn't make sense. He's not a big muscular black guy with a mohawk, and no amount of acting ability is going to make him right for that role. It doesn't mean he's a bad actor. It just means he's not right. It's not the right fit.
Okay.
Same things with me and a client. If it's Bret Michaels, my Lord, I would love to represent Bret Michaels. He's one of my idols. He doesn't need me. My talents don't match what he needs. And so it would be doing a disservice to both of us to try and make that work.
So
I would be
it'd be like,
yeah.
okay, look, I see this talent. I love it. But I have no idea how I can connect with it. It doesn't represent me well. And things like that, which means you have to have some sort of comfortability, to make it feel something. Become a fan of it as you would want other people to. Something.
I will often go live with a client for a little bit or in the vicinity where we spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
I take a very personal approach, whether it's a business. I go in Empire Today. I went out on sales calls to find out how they're doing this. Other World Computing. I sat down with the techs, and I really struggle with computers, man. I could write the scripts, I could talk all pretty, but working the stuff. But I had to understand it. If you're going to represent something, you are representing it. You have to know what you're representing, whether that's a brand or whether that's a celebrity, turning it into a celebrity brand. Because I can make anybody famous. That's not hard. It's turning that into
let me know how much you need. But anyway,
no, man, but it has to be controlled.
It has
to be
to.
famous means nothing.
Yeah.
To make money off it, to make that a good
yes.
thing.
Yeah.
You have to define your goals. I know.
Big shout out to everybody listening. We're talking to Rikki Lee Travolta, and if you guys haven't heard, this guy has done so much. If I take like 20%, I probably just wouldn't know how to handle it. But so I introduced you as so many titles, but we forget the one title, and I think we're right where we're gonna get to. Celebrity publicist. Okay. I am a fan of the celebrities. We'll just say it like that. I love what they do. I understand that everything is not all, cupcakes and rainbows. So most of people that I've dealt with, especially because of my upbringing, they imagine just red carpets and scandals when they talk celebrity publicists. So what's something that the public doesn't know about what you do?
Okay. I'm going to talk about a film that I did a cameo. It's called The Lurker. And I got to work with Scout Taylor Compton, just amazing young actress. And she played Lita Ford in The Runaways. And I did a little work with Lita. So that was like amazing, like kind of Twilight Zone kind of thing. Here's young Lita, and I've worked with Lita. And Scout on the film set, she was having trouble getting a date while she was in town because everybody's intimidated by this big celebrity. She's in a strange town. She just wants to meet people. And how do you meet people when you're a big star and all they want to do is ask for autographs and you want to be a real person?
Yeah.
Now, Scout is now married and has a beautiful life and everything. And so this goes back a few years, but it's just a great example that real people, man, real people. And you got Nikki Sixx, who is, again, he's in that Bret Michaels category of image and branding. He didn't even know how to play bass, from my understanding, when they got signed with Molly. Molly Crew got signed. He just wrote great hooks, and he wanted to be a star. He came up with the name Nikki Sixx. He actually stole it from his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, who had a Nikki Sixx name spelled different. And if you look at his Facebook videos and things, he has his hair done. He has the proper makeup on. My little kitty might come say hi. She likes to be on camera. We'll see.
Shout out to the kitty.
But yeah, but that's image and branding, and that's right for glam rock, of course. And that's the other thing that's also kind of a problem for celebrities is there's this expectation that you can't be real. Say you're having a bad day and you swear at somebody in the grocery store. Oh my God, we don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. Sometimes it happens. And, Joe Blow down the block, yeah, nobody cares. Tom Cruise does it. It's national headline. You get judged by a different standard. And everything is a double-edged sword. There's benefits to fame, money, special treatment. But you also get judged under a microscope. Headlines can follow you around for 30 years.
30.
Yeah. Maybe weren't even real at the time. I mean, you look at my man, Steven Adler. God, I love this man. He's been sober longer than I have, and I've been sober longer than I can remember. And people still like to pull that stuff up from way back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But every member of the band was doing the same.
Everybody.
Every single one. Yeah.
Everybody, period.
Yeah, that was part of being a rock star then. That was like the requirement. And so my job is to get the focus on today. The focus on the fact that Steven Adler is one of the most beautiful people you ever met. His smile just radiates from the stage. People fly in from all over the country to see him, and they say that they would rather go to a Steven Adler concert than a Guns N' Roses concert. And I love Guns N' Roses. I love going to Guns N' Roses. But the happiness, the joy that permeates, not just from Steven, but from the whole band, is just, it's part of the experience. It's part of not just music. If you want just music, get the album. If you want the experience, the live experience, you go to a Steven Adler concert because it's going to be the best thing you ever experienced. And man, after the show, these guys they're not going to charge you for autographs, right?
Yeah, he's chilling
out with you.
He's basically chilling. Yeah.
These are real people who love the fans. We love the Steven Adler Army. That's what we call it, the Steven Adler Army. And yeah, I'm stealing that from Kiss. Hey, I give them credit. But it's a brilliant title. Nobody's been using it. So we talked. It's Steven Adler Army because it fits. Because this is an army of fans around the world who love this man. If you look at polls, Steven Adler is usually the favorite of anybody's alumni from the band.
I know we've talked about stalkers. Are you Steven Adler stalker? No.
Am I saying that? No, man, I just love hanging out with him.
Let me just stop. So I want to get into some weird stuff, right?
Yeah, we ain't got weird yet.
We haven't gotten weird yet, and the reason is because you found a way, and I really love this. Like you're name dropping a lot of people, paving the way, who've trusted you, who have basically given you some. And there's so many people. These are people like, wow, like that's crazy. Like they're probably texting you right now. Good morning, like and it's such a great place to be in and still be part of, because these are not people like have fell off. They have legendary lives and legendary careers. And then you're still part of that, which is really crazy. So I want to know some stupid stuff, because what is like one of the weirdest celebrity requests that you've gotten? Like,
Like weird from what the celebrity wanted?
yeah, something like, because I'm just like,
you really can't top the green M&Ms thing, and I never had that one, but I like to cite that example because, and my understanding is that it was just asked for, that they wanted to see if it could be done. The weirdest celebrity experience I ever had was I went to a Star Trek convention with Chase Masterson, who played Lita on Deep Space Nine. And we worked together on some films and things. Otherworld Computing, we had a division, Otherworld Entertainment, that I was the head of. And so we were doing some products that had Star Trek tie-ins, and then we were doing some entertainment. And so Chase and I were working on a film called Yesterday Was a Lie. And I got invited to go to a Star Trek convention with her, which was just an amazing experience because it's a very different world.
yeah.
Part of the thing was people paid to go out to dinner with us. I mean, they paid to go out to dinner with Chase. I just got to go along.
Just shout out
They would go
the
in their
one.
Klingon costumes with their Klingon makeup and everything into town at like fancy restaurants. And people are looking at them as being very different. And they would look back at these normal people thinking they're the different ones. Why aren't you in the Klingon costume, right?
Yeah.
And it was just very interesting. Here's the crazy thing. So part of the contract, they have these things in the middle of nowhere because then you pull people in and they stay at the hotel. And it's this big ticket item. And part of the ticket price is you get to, in this one at least, you get to have a picture and meet the
Like a
king
meet
of the
and
Star
greet. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's titled The King of the Star Trek Convention and the Queen of the Star Trek Convention. So Chase was the queen. And Ethan Phillips, who played Neelix on Voyager, was supposed to be the king. And he had something come up at the last minute. And so he couldn't be there. And so they are freaking out because the contract is they have to have a King of the Star Trek Convention, middle of the nowhere, Indiana, no way to get anybody. Some brilliant guy in the promotions office reads the contract and realizes it doesn't have to be somebody who was actually a character on screen. I was affiliated with Star Trek. I'd worked with Michael Dorn, who played Worf. I was a protege of Jerry Goldman, who was the head of finance at Paramount, chief financial officer. I was tied to the brand. I was kind of a celebrity.
Shout out to my Trekkies out there.
Yeah. They said, Rikki, will you be king of the Star Trek convention? Well, damn, yes. So somewhere in like the record books, I'm the first king of the Star Trek convention who wasn't actually a character on Star Trek. But that's kind of like the fun stuff that just happens in my life. And I just roll with it and it gives me good stories to tell. But Chase Masters, I will tell you, one of the most beautiful women ever, one of the most brilliant business minds ever. And she now dedicates herself to a lot of nonprofit causes, including Pop Culture Hero Coalition. And just amazing. Look them up online. Pop Culture Hero Coalition. Chase Masterson. She's doing fantastic work. She's also just one of the most gifted actresses, singers. She should be on Broadway, honestly. She's just amazing and just a brilliant business mind and a beautiful person. And that's the kind of people I like to associate with.
That is so
good
crazy and amazing, man. That has to be fun. That has to be fun. And I know that he was like talking about it and like taking snips of it. I think you were also producing it. What I'm talking about is, what's the life movie title? What is Rikki Lee's movie title of your life? If it's because I got a feeling somebody's gonna grab this and create it.
I'm going to give you two titles. One won't sell, but it's the one that would mean something. Dad, because we talk fun stories, we talk people I've met, we've talked things I've done. For me, it's all about my kids, and I mean that not just for my two biological sons, Valentino, and then my other son. His mom likes to kind of keep him out of the spotlight, so I'm not going to mention his name.
Yeah.
Valentino Travolta out in California. He's has a comic book company with his partner, his wonderful girlfriend Jay. They're doing amazing stuff. My son Cody, he's not my biological son. I inherited him.
Yeah.
Michaela, Gianna, Jessica, Tom. I wish he was my grandson. I like to call him my grandson. Bastion, Cypress. These are people I love that they're not by blood, but they're in my heart. And so Dad would be the title, but that's not going to sell. Nobody's going to buy it. Nobody's going to go see that. It doesn't say what it is.
Yeah.
So I always say,
and it's sad. And let me stay there real quick.
Yeah.
Let me stay there because I'm a dad myself, and it's one of these things where I did a lot. I traveled the world. I took a different route. I put cloth around me so that people could talk shit, right? That's what I did. And if you guys can get it, basically, I'm a veteran, right? And
did a lot of work for veterans.
Thank you. And I'm grown now, and I mention this like all the time now, but it is so hard for people not to understand that this relationship with your children mean so much more than the relationships that you had with people. Because these are your legacies, these are your storytellers, these are, you have this Olympic torch that at the end, we're all going to play games as one, right? Like you have this torch and you're hoping that they're behind you ready to take it. Whether it's a business, whether it's, the family morals, the family name, or even just, take it on their own little routes, wherever it is, just know that I did what I can. And it, as much as crazy as it sounds, we have super marketing, superpower Rikki Lee here talking, and it's true because it won't sell. These stories of dads will not sell, and it's so sad because it'll go viral for 2 or 3 days online, but after that, people forget. And I started seeing a lot of things where a lot of mothers wanted to have both titles, especially on Mother's Day, and forget, like, listen, like, society told me not to get emotional, and it did, and it continues to. Whether it's something like, look, let me tell you, I started a real job, and I'm gonna say a real job because there's a difference. When I was in the service, I was contracted in, so I had no choice, right? But when I had a real job, I literally got fired for being a dad. I had to take care of this stuff. I have an active duty home. I'm the guy that got to go take the appointments. I'm the guy that got to do a whole bunch of stuff. As soon as I had to do something for my kids, I got to let go. And that right there is these stories that people are not telling. And it's crazy that no matter what our accomplishments are, we just want to look back at the little humans that either look like us or have been attached to us from different types of relationships, which I don't want to say stepdad. I noticed that you didn't want to say it either. The
They're my kids.
kids.
Whether I see them or not, they're
Yeah,
my kids. I love them.
Yeah, exactly.
Need
And
them.
you just want to look and you just be like, man, I'm so proud of them kids. Or what do they need from us? Like, and it's crazy. And I know that you're probably gonna just be like, wait, hold up. It does sell, bro. But at the same time, I'm like, it's true. It's sad. It's a little sad. But anyways,
In my case, I mean, I have a father who's a child molester, and I have a mother who has never said the words "I love you" or "I'm proud of you." And so that made me come up with, I find family elsewhere. And so it made me come up with the theory, the statement, the tagline. Blood defines lineage. Love defines family. You don't have to be blood related to be family. You have to have love. But I'm going to steer it back to that movie title. You said, what would the movie title be? I would love it to be Dad. Nobody's going to go to a film called Dad. I always tell the accountant, you handle the money. I get paid in smiles because I am happiest making people happy. So the film title for the Rikki Lee Travolta story would be, I get paid in smiles.
I get paid in smile.
Smiles. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dumb. This is why he does this. Shout out to Rikki Lee Travolta. Let me get one more in because it's been amazing.
Oh, hell, I'll talk to you all day, brother.
Yeah, I know.
You a fun guy, Dave Hernandez.
Why you had to throw my name out like that? But anyways,
I love you. We gotta get you some publicity.
Oh, we got to do that. We definitely do. What do you mean? What advice would you give someone with invisible struggles who wants to enter a high-profile industry? Because I'm going to tell you now, it is so out there, and I'm sure you know. You throw an acronym out there, there's a whole club for it. I got ADHD too. I got this, I got that. And you know what? They all get together and they stay home. They cuddle up. They remind themselves why they didn't have so many friends. And then they close up. I'm starting to see a bunch of me, because that people think I don't listen, but you do, right? And I know you do. And you can see them struggling to make people happy. And it's like, listen, they're not part of you. These people are trash. Like, let them go. It's fine. You've been a better person without them. And then it'll always be like one person putting them down, things like that. That subliminal that I was throwing is actually coming out now. I need my friends to realize that if they're not making you happy, leave them, even if it's me. Like, I need you to do that. We don't have a lot of time on earth. Okay? Just take it from me and Rikki. We smiling through all these struggles. Because we're able to live and tell the story. We're able to realize where we came from. He mentions his parents and realizes, like, I didn't have the family background, but I know how it feels to have a family. But there's a lot of people with invisible struggles. They don't want to say anything. And then there's people who are throwing a bunch of stuff in front of their invisible struggles as if that's the stuff that's really bothering them. But it's really not, because I think you're over it because you're able to talk so freely about it. There's a difference there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need somebody to tell me. But what advice do you give them? Because you can see it. You can see these things that I can't. You can see these things in people that I can't. You got a whole different view of life, different than most of us.
The big thing that I'd say to anybody, whether it's somebody with a diagnosis, a struggle, or just anybody, is you can do it. You can do whatever you want. You just have to set your mind to it and believe in yourself. And there's always going to be people saying that you can't. I was told I can't every day of my life by my own family, you know, but by a lot of people. You got to believe in yourself, and you got to surround yourself with people who believe in you too. And sometimes they're not going to be there. Sometimes it's just you against the world. And just find that motivation inside. For me, it's my kids. You know, when awful things were happening, people would tell me, I would have committed suicide if I was in your case. Well, I've never considered that in my life. Not my thing. But the thing that always kept me going was I have to be here for my kids. I found what kept me going. And I've never given up on my dreams, and I've managed to accomplish them things. Here's the thing. The whole thing with the Airbnb thing, that guy got away with it because I'm open that I'm autistic. I'm open that I'm disabled. And so he was able to use the term crazy, and people believed it. If that can be done to somebody with eloquence, to somebody with an education, to somebody with a resume like mine, think of what happens to those who are nonverbal, those who can't speak up, who can't speak like I do. And that's why I choose to be the voice for the voiceless. And there's struggles with that. I get abused for it. But there's labels, and labels have penalties. But I'm willing to endure that because it's a community, it's a society. And if I don't, then those children who can't speak, there's no hope for them. So we have to stand up for each other. We have to, as a country. It all starts in relationships, in the community of supporting each other. And if this country is going to be great again, it starts in the community. It starts with the people and loving each other and supporting each other, and not competition between businesses, putting each other out of business, but supporting each other and making sure everyone's thriving. Because that's a lot better. Why sit in a mansion with all the money all alone? I would rather have everybody have money and everybody be happy, and I'm hanging out with everybody and having a party. That's a lot more fun than sitting in a mansion alone counting meaningless money. It's all about the community. This country was founded on supporting each other, on freedoms and prosperity and helping each other. And that's just what I believe in. So I would do like ads.
I want to, and I know we get into the country thing, man. It is such a weird time, and I'm gonna say weird time because I was in the service before 9/11. I know what it was at peacetime, and I know what it was to look at wartime, and to be. I had the family that I was worried about, and I had myself that I had to worry about, and then I had my shipmates that I had to worry about. Okay. But now let's fast forward into now, where you have such a legendary name in American politics and heroism in RFK Jr. And he talks about autism registry as if people with autism have an issue. Do you know what happened this week about him saying that he's launching a disease registry to track American with autism? Did you hear about this, and how do you feel about it?
I would tell you, the Kennedy name, that is a brand. And RFK Jr. is despised by pretty much every other member of the Kennedy family. If they could take the Kennedy name away from it, they probably would. And so he is riding a brand that he doesn't represent. John F. Kennedy, one of the greatest presidents we've ever had, that's who established the brand. A brand about freedom, a brand about helping each other, a brand about loving the world, loving everybody, helping everybody. And that, obviously, as you just indicated, is not what RFK Jr. is about. He has bastardized it. He has taken a brand about love and stolen it and is now using it to campaign against people like me. And I find that offensive. But everybody's entitled to their view. And that's something I want to really point out, is that it's okay to be Republican. It's okay to be Democrat. It's okay to be Libertarian. It shouldn't be against each other.
It's okay to like candy corn, okay?
Damn, man, we should all be on the same team pursuing a great America, not they're wrong, he's wrong, she's wrong. No, how about how can we help each other?
Yeah.
How can we all work together and not register autistic people as like, what is this, Nazi Germany?
That is not even I don't even know what that is. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, that doesn't even make sense.
I'll tell you something.
I have a lot of blue bulbs into my family, and I am trying to protect them versus trying to register them so the public can see where they're at. Because that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I understand you register sex offenders. That's very important. We have to protect people. But autism? How are we protecting? Are we going to register people who wear blue ties? It's just as ludicrous. I don't think we have to register that you wear a red tie. That seems a little.
It's I think it really bothers, especially because you got to understand, and I'm sure you understand that when you're starting to see growth in different types of communities, and then all of a sudden it just something happened. Something happened. Somebody, something, some form of, I don't know, something happened, because I could still remember me as a teen. Like, heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and for the entire human race. I literally thought that was going to save the world. I literally thought that song by MJ was going to save the world. I have no doubt that that's how I felt when I heard that song. Green thumbs, all this other stuff that you learn as a kid. I'm thinking the world's going to be a better place. It's going to be. And then all of a sudden we get into this crazy, we're finally talking about mental illness, and then we're not looking at it at people as if everyone needs a straitjacket, right? Just somebody needs some kind of conversation,
Dave, I'll point something out to you. If you ask medical doctors, if you ask scientists, Donald Trump fits the criteria for a diagnosis of autism. So is RFK Jr. advocating that our president, Donald Trump, be registered and controlled? That's an interesting question.
It could be the biggest heel turn in politics history.
I love the pro wrestling. I love the pro wrestling reference because I go way back.
Yo, I was about to ask you something because let me tell you how I was thinking. Like, because I'm gonna pick a brand for you. I'm gonna pick 3 of them. And just choose one, and how would you promote it, right? Would you rather brand a haunted house, a pro wrestler, or a UFO convention?
Okay, just because of the love. I love pro wrestling. I had a series in development with Bret the Hitman Hart and Corey Feldman. It was called Champion of the People. I basically stole it from Jesse the Body Ventura's.
Shout out to Jesse.
It was WWE meets Spin City. A professional wrestler gets elected mayor of a small town. And so Bret was going to play Adonis Truth, who is the pro wrestler. Corey Feldman was going to play, it was Spin City meets WWE. So Corey was going to play Michael J. Fox, guy who runs the actual mayor office. And so I love wrestling. I have a picture that I should go grab it, but it involved running away from the camera. It's me and Macho Man Randy Savage
What?
I was like 19 years old.
Oh.
No, I went and I met him. It's like all these kids in line to meet him at a vitamin store where he's doing an appearance. And it's me, 19. But I had to meet this guy. I loved him. Then later on in life, I'm in LA, I'm a screenwriter, I'm working with Jerry Goldman and stuff. And I was going to be on The Surreal Life with Macho Man. And then it got canceled that year. So we didn't do it. But I've worked with a lot of wrestlers. Diamond Dallas Page, I helped him out with his DDP yoga line. I love the industry. I can't wait to see what my man Billy Corgan does. He bought the NWA brand, and he's relaunching that. So to answer your question, I would love to brand a wrestling promotion, and maybe Billy Corgan should give me a call because he had the perfect one that I could take. Man. And we both run in the same industry, right? It's a soap opera, right?
It is.
A soap opera.
It is amazing.
Good guys, bad guys, romance. And it's superheroes. I didn't have good parents, right? So my parents came from TV, movies, comic books, which is why I'm so proud of my son, Valentino Travolta, for having Bunley, comics, is that he's pursued that in life. But wrestlers, they're bigger than life, big testosterone, macho. They're superheroes. They're real life superheroes to little kids. And that's the way that you brand it. Now, that got too much in the Hulk Hogan era. It was, yeah, America, just, and then he gets caught in the scandals with the steroids and everything. They have to change focus. So you go to the NWA and the Attitude Era with Steve Austin. Oh, man, I met him in a gym, and he's a cool cat. Ahmed Johnson. A lot of people don't remember that name. He was the biggest dude I ever met. A lot of people, you're surprised that they're not as big. I was bench pressing about 300 at the time. That was my max. He comes in, he says, "You done?" Puts on another plate on each side to warm up. I'm like, man, this guy is huge.
Warm up.
And yeah. But I mean, look at how the brand of wrestling in general has evolved.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it's the indie thing, and then it's the Hulk Hogan thing, then it's the Attitude thing. So what I would do with Billy Corgan and the NWA or whatever promotion, different promotions wants to dial me up. I'm into this.
I got some wrestling promotion people, man. Oh my God.
Damn, yeah. You put me in touch because I love this stuff. And I want to talk. I've had offers from different NBA franchises.
Wow.
Because I love that. I once called a game for the ABA. I was there to do the national anthem. The GM comes up to me when they relaunched the ABA in 2000. It was a Chicago Skyliners game. And the GM comes up and he says, the play-by-play guy just called. He's en route from Italy, and he has not landed in New York. And we're in Chicago. And the game starts in half hour. You want to do play-by-play? Of course. So I got to do play-by-play for a pro game. I love basketball. But NBA is its own brand. It already exists. They don't need me. They're Brett Michaels. They don't need me. The big three. Clyde Drexler is the commissioner. Ice Cube is the owner. That is a brand that is struggling. But I know how to make it huge. That I can make $100 million marketing campaign while cooking breakfast. The other day I was cooking breakfast and I realized how to make big three. It won't be bigger than the NBA, but it'll be dominant, And I don't know, maybe I should talk to them too.
Ricky's over here just ready to work. Oh my God. What a journey that we've taken today. We're talking about a series. Let's do another one of these another time. We could do that. What a journey have we taken today through the spotlight of a celebrity, the trenches of branding brilliance, and the strength it takes to run or to turn adversity into an asset. Rikki Lee Travolta is more than just a publicist, an actor, an author, a dad. He's proof that creativity, resilience, and the little rebel spirit. Okay, you forget that he does things a little bit different. Okay. And that takes a lot of people don't like that, but it's okay. You can shape it or not. It's not just brands, but it's legacies. The names that we've said, the things I've said. Oh, what is it? 1-800-588-3300 Empire today. Okay, that's
Dave?
all over the world. There's no way that people don't know it. If today's episode inspired you, made you laugh, or just made you think a little differently about fame and authenticity, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and always keep chasing your story because someone out there needs to hear it. Rikki, thank you so much for coming on here with us.
Hey, my love to the QSJ family, and my love to you, Dave. Not only are you just a cool guy, but like you said, you're a veteran. And that's one of the biggest gifts we can give to our country. And I help veterans with transitioning into real life employment. We have a program called Veterans Boot Camp that was started with the Des Plaines Chamber of Commerce in Chicago. And I love our country. I love our people, all people. I don't care what political party. I don't care what religion. I don't care what gender. I don't care what persuasion. We're all people. And you represent us, Dave. You represent us proudly. And my love and respect for you, man.
Thank you so much, Rick. Thank you so much. Okay. If you guys want more information on my boy Rikki Lee Travolta, where can they find you specifically? Because you're like everywhere, but it's got to be specific.
Yeah, it's a mess because Mr. Crazy Airbnb guy took over my social media, and Mr. Crazy Lola Wireless guy has my email and my phone that I had for 20 years. So I steer everybody to my LinkedIn page.
Okay,
LinkedIn, Rikki Lee Travolta, and you can get in touch with me. I don't even if you're interested in our services, myself and Entertainability Group, reach out to new clients at Celebrity Endorsements with an S, celebrityendorsements.us. New clients at celebrityendorsements.us. Hook up with me on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I love people. And if I can help you with advice, I will. And if I can help you with in a paid position, I'll do that too. You know, it's all about balance and helping each other.
Rikki, we're definitely going to talk. So, we're because I'm done, bro. I'm done. Let's go. Tell me, do I got to get a haircut? Please tell me something. I don't know. But anyways, Rikki, thank you so much. This has been an honor. And I do want to keep going with this. So we'll definitely catch up maybe summer, something like that. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rick, so much. And you have a great day and stay out of reach of your stalker.
Oh, yeah, man. All right. Dave, my love. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll talk soon. Big shout out to everybody listening in.